Now, we've seen time and time again police misusing their Section 17 powers of PACE, the ability to make entry to a property to search premises without a warrant in order to arrest persons or to save life, limb or property. Now, they tend to use this power, abuse this power, simply to get entry to a property, especially when dealing with people who don't want to let them in, by suggesting someone in the house is in danger and that they're carrying out a welfare check. But when it's actually needed, as in this case, they fail to use the powers correctly. On August the 6th, 2023, South Wales Police attended the home of Rhiana Jones to conduct a welfare check due to reports that she was suicidal. Failing to get a response at the door, one of the constables allegedly managed to get Rhiana on the phone, who told him that she was out clearing her head, and this led the constable to believe 110% confidence that Rhiana was not at home, and so made no further effort to check on her welfare. This included failing to check her back garden or look through the windows at the back of her home. Around 20 minutes later, Rhiana had taken her life at the address. The family believe that had the police actually looked in the garden or through the windows, they would have found her and prevented her from taking her life, as they believe that at the time of the call between police and Rhiana, she was in fact in her back garden. An inquest has concluded this week into Rhiana's untimely death. The inquest heard how Rhiana had a history of mental health problems that began when she was a teenager. She was diagnosed with ADHD in childhood and was given medication for it, which she subsequently mixed with alcohol, something which her mother said was the start of Rhiana's mental health issues, or at least she felt it was. Rhiana had 3 children, and it's said that following the birth of her third, she developed postnatal depression. Rhiana is said to have had a heavy drinking and gambling addiction and had previously overdosed, suffered thoughts about self-harm, and had received help for her struggles, including from a GP and a counsellor. The toxicology report suggests that Rhiana had cocaine, cocodamol, paracetamol, sertraline and alcohol in her blood when she died. However, the levels were said to have not been that of a lethal level. The welfare check was instigated by Rhiana's ex-partner's mum after her ex-partner arrived at the home and found her in bed, pissed. At around 1 p.m, she is said to have taken an overdose, which is what prompted her ex-partner's mum to call for the welfare check. The 2 police constables tasked with the welfare check, PC Durant Lewis and PC Elliot Parry, were also at the inquest this week to answer questions. Lewis told the court that Rhiana told me she was out with her dog and she needed to clear her head. Asked by Assistant Coroner Gavin Knox whether he had challenged Miss Jones on whether she was telling the truth that she was actually walking her dog, given the fact that there was a dog in the house at the time, PC Lewis said that he did not, as she could have had more than one dog. Now, to be fair, for a while I had to walk my 2 dogs separately, so one would have been at home while I was out with the other, but that alone shouldn't make somebody 110% sure that nobody was in the house. When Rhiana failed to come home at the time she said she would, some 15 minutes after the phone call between her and the police, PC Lewis said he tried to call again but got no response. Just 15 minutes later, they left. Oddly enough, it's claimed that another police constable from South Wales Police said that they had managed to get hold of an unnamed and unidentified friend of Rhiana Jones, who allegedly told them that she had returned safely home. Unnamed and unidentified. Why would a friend not want to identify themselves? And if they did, why would the police give them anonymity? Seems like very odd behaviour to me. Rhiana's mother told the hearing that there was no way Rhiana would have hurt herself and must have been totally desperate, as she thought she wasn't going to get her son back. Now, this is due to the fact that Rhiana's ex took their son when he visited earlier in the day and found her in bed, intoxicated. Rhiana's mum called for an inquiry into her daughter's death, telling the inquest she believed the police and Rhiana's ex-partner were responsible for her death and that mental health services had failed her daughter, who didn't get the support she needed. Delivering his findings, Assistant Coroner Gavin Knox said, on the balance of probabilities, Ms Jones had not left her home when she spoke to PC Lewis and was likely to have been in the garden at the time, adding it's entirely plausible that music at front of house would not be heard at the back. Knox added that in terms of whether a successful welfare check by the police officers would have stopped Ms Jones taking her own life, he said it may have possibly, but I can't say it would have probably, adding that he can't say any act or omission on the part of the police contributed to Ms Jones' death. He said, on the balance of probabilities, I find Ms Jones did intend to take her own life. I do accept her taking her own life was to some degree impulsive. I accept she might not have thought through all the consequences for her family, particularly her children. Mr Knox recorded a conclusion of suicide. Now, even though the coroner concluded a verdict of suicide and couldn't say whether a successful welfare check by the police officers would have stopped Ms Jones taking her own life, the fact that the welfare check wasn't successful is an issue in itself, as far as I can see, which strengthens my conclusions that police misuse these powers in situations where they're not needed and fail to use the power properly in situations that do call for the use of those powers. I'm no coroner and I haven't got all the evidence of this case, but I feel that had police used their powers properly at the time, then Rhiana could well be alive today, as she was obviously alive when the police spoke to her. Even if they had checked her back garden or looked through the windows, rather than breaking in within 15 minutes following the call, they may well have found her in time to save her. But I bet they simply thought, oh, fucking hell, another attention seeker, and fucked off. Police have specific powers for specific situations. If they fail to use them properly, what is the point in having them? I'm sad for the family of Rhiana Jones and Rhiana herself, as I've been in desperate situations, and it must have been very frightening and lonely in those last few minutes, which could have been averted had police actually used the powers they have in the way they were meant to be used. I mean, how can a copper say that they are 100% sure that she wasn't in the house when they hadn't even checked the back garden or through the windows? I hope that Rhiana rests in peace, and I hope that the family can get over or move forward from this horrific tragedy. If you found this report informative, please do show your support with a thumbs up and share your thoughts in the comments below. If you don't want to add a comment, obviously you could always leave an emoji, which YouTube will take as engagement still and will help the channel. Don't forget, if you're not already subscribed, please consider subscribing and stick around for the next report.